Hello, Intactivists. I'm going to tell you the top 5 Intactivist groups, but before I begin, I want to say one, this is not a sponsored video. I am going to have a criteria and I'm going to try and be as fair as possible, and this is just my opinion. But I will be using very clear, measurable reasons of why a group or strategies are better than the other. So the criteria for being the top 5 is 1, it has to be measurable, at least somewhat measurable. Also, second, is your job as an intactivist is to persuade non-intactivists, not other intactivists. So we're only going to focus on the making of intactivists and what a quote-unquote non-intactivist would think of a campaign. Also, we're going to have a look at the track history and effectiveness. So, before we even begin, we need to talk about how to actually persuade people. Right here, this is how to be more persuasive, 6 tips for convincing others. If we go all the way down here, we're going to judge these top 5 groups off of reciprocity. If someone thinks they owe you, they're more likely to return the favor, even if they didn't want your help in the first place. Scarcity, the less available something is, the more people want it. People feel the same way about information. Authority, people understand and intuitively react to our authority figures, even when they know they shouldn't. You're more likely to believe a senior manager simply because they're a senior manager, no matter their track record. Consistency, a key element of being reliable is consistency for you and those around you. Keeping to your values and commitments is a great motivator, and seeing someone keep to their values inspires trust. We also have likability, consensus, and unity. So that's how we're going to go and judge these 5 groups. Also, there are bonuses for these groups. It is know your audience and their interests. Don't be pushy. Use positive and engaging body language. Get to the point. And maintain a sincere tone. Last but not least, ask detailed questions. So this is what we're going to be judging the top 5 Intactivist groups on. So let's begin. The first Intactivist group is the Your Whole Baby method. They typically target pregnant parents and help them with the birthing process and offers them resources and helps guide them in a gentle way and gives the message of anti-circumcision. Reciprocity for Your Whole Baby is that they're helping you raise your child pretty much for free, as you see here, raising your whole baby, and they're giving you a community to be with to go help your intact child for free. So that's awesome, right? Also, Your Whole Baby, a community for learning. That's another group that they have, which once again allows you to go ahead and learn different things in a non-judgmental way that will go ahead and make you learn something for free. So that's nice. So scarcity, definitely not for Your Whole Baby. Unfortunately, you can get medical advice pretty much from anywhere. But authority, though, Your Whole Baby, they do use nurses and doctors. As you see on their advisory board of Your Whole Baby, they have not just 1, 2, 3 doctors. They have like 12 doctors and nurses on their advisory board that go and help people on their spare time. You can read this right here. Meet Your Whole Baby's advisory board. These professionals donate their time to help Your Whole Baby be as effective as possible. There are many members of the medical community who speak up about the harms of genital cutting. Here are some of those faces. They do offer their time to help. So there is authority in Your Whole Baby, which is persuasive. Now, for Your Whole Baby, consistency. Is their message consistent? Yes, they tell people, hey, don't circumcise the baby, don't circumcise under 18. That's their general message. So that's a pretty consistent message. Likability, since they focus on gentle education, which seems to be working because these guys have the largest Intactivist group by members. They got 62,000 in Raising Your Whole Baby. They also have 72,000 members in Your Whole Baby, a community for learning that beats Bloodstained Men, Intact America, Foragin, and so many other groups. So Your Whole Baby definitely has the biggest following out of any Intactivist groups, and their revenue compared to the bigger Intactivist groups are way more modest. They get a fraction of what the bigger Intactivist companies get, and yet they are indeed the largest Intactivist group when it comes to having members. For consensus, yes, they do have a consensus. You know, most people like these guys are belonging into a group. And unity, yes, they do have a super secret private group to get into. I'm actually pending. I don't think I'm going to get in, but that's okay. They do have an exclusive group, which that is unity. There is an exclusive group. You feel like you're a part of something in that group, which is pretty cool. So bonuses for Your Whole Baby. They know their audience and their interests. They want what's best for their child. Okay, and they definitely have that role down pat, and they do a very good job at that. They're not pushy. They use positive and engaging language. They get to the point. They maintain a sincere tone. And I don't know if they ask detailed questions. Yep, like just for me to go enjoy this, I have to go ahead and answer all these questions. So I'm guessing they're asking me quite detailed questions. All right, guys, and number 4. So I'm going to call this the rapport method. This literally is just you showing people that you're useful and you're smart by learning useful skills or rare skills. Now, this is not an Intactivist group. This is just a strategy on how to make Intactivists. Now, there's lots of benefits of this method, and it also depends on what you're actually doing. So, can this be persuasive? Absolutely. So, reciprocity. Let's say you're good at finances, or you're good at massaging, or your job, or teaching the guitar, etc. If you help people do this, people are definitely going to be more likely to hear you out, especially if you help them for free, right? Also, scarcity, depending on what you know about certain things, that can be rare, and people like that. So that makes you more likable, makes you more persuasive, right? Like, hey, like that's so cool that you can do parkour. You're amazing and you're super cool and you go and do cool guy things. It's like, yeah, man. And also, you know what's really cool? And they're like, what? Like, yeah, don't cut the baby, man. You know, don't circumcise. You know, boom. Authority depends on your credentials. If you're like a masseuse or a doctor or whatever, and let's say that you helped somebody, gave them first aid or whatever, all right, you know, just slip in the advice of, hey, man, you know, that's a pretty bad cut that I just healed. Whenever you have a baby, you know, maybe you shouldn't be cutting them. You know, something like that. You know, something cool and playful. Consistency. Nope, this is not consistent because you're changing up the message. Likability. So people like those who you can relate to. So if you're good at playing the guitar and you're in a guitarist club or a band or whatever, that makes people like you. Build that rapport. Likability. Consensus and unity. Those two, it honestly really depends on what you're doing, all right? Essentially, for this to work, of just like general individual Intactivists, you would have to also kind of do the bonus stuff, which would be know your audience and their interests. Obviously, if you're talking to somebody who likes to go mountain climbing and you like binge watching TV, don't talk to that person, man. Like, you don't know your audience, you don't know their interests. Like, even if you do, they're gonna be like, bro, you sit on the couch all the time. Get out of here, stupid nerd. So you're gonna have to know your audience and their interests, and also care about their interests. Also, you know, don't be pushy. Use positive and engaging body language. You can definitely do that with this strategy. You know, get to the point, maintain a sincere tone. And yeah, you can also ask detailed questions if they are against you and they're like, no, circumcision's cool and it's better. You can ask them, well, why do you think that? So that's number 4 of how to do intactivism better, right? Because remember, this is 5 top ways to do intactivism better / groups. All right, and moving on to next level intactivism's method. They try to ensure that reporters get all the facts about foreskin and circumcision while also helping reporters by saying, hey, there's a protest going on and it's going to be at this time on this street. That's how NLI does that. So the reciprocity is NLI is taking time out of their day to help reporters find the news, which is helping them do their job. And many times reporters ask people to leave a news tip. So they owe it to Next Level Intactivism to listen to them and also follow up on their news tips. So right there, that's helping the reporters, and that's reciprocity. Scarcity. So protests do happen a lot. However, they aren't daily events in local counties and towns. So it's not super scarce, but it's atypical depending on the place. Authority. Next Level Intactivism gets the media involved, and the media is an authority figure, so to speak. So when the media goes and puts out a newspaper or news article about the bloodstained men, people listen. So yes, Next Level Intactivism definitely uses authority to get to the general public. Consistency. So when it comes to the reporters, yes, same message, same protesters, same passion. He's even doing recorded calls now, at least from me doing the interview with him, right? He said he's doing recorded calls. But when it comes to Next Level Intactivism, he does change up their goals every now and then. So, but however, we're talking about the public and not intactivists. So he's consistent when it comes to the reporters. Maybe not so with the intactivists. Likability. So according to Next Level Intactivism, he gets a lot of good feedback from the reporters and people he reaches out to. Now, unity. Unfortunately, Next Level Intactivism fails in this area, according to a lot of people's feedback of not liking the leader, and with NLI's group numbers remaining steady to shrinking, and them not growing in membership, or them not even having enough. This is a sign of Next Level Intactivism just not being able to develop unity. The bonus of what Next Level Intactivism does is they know their target audience, the reporters, and their interests, and they maintain a sincere tone. Also, for Next Level Intactivism, they can prove that they are effective because when they are on target, they go and get more articles for the Bloodstained Men than when they're not helping the Bloodstained Men.
They had the Pennsylvania was the first protest tour that the Bloodstained Men did right after COVID. In 20 days, we got 20 articles published. This is not a fluke. This is not a mistake. This is not something the Bloodstained Men is doing. The reason why they got 15 and then 20 is because of us. And then we did the same thing over and over and over. The last 3 tours, we were bare bones and weren't doing barely anything. They did a tour in Florida, they did one in New York, and they did one in Virginia and Washington. Look at the numbers of media articles they got published during those 3 tours. It was minuscule, like 2 and 3, 4. We've never had that since we started this, and we were not operational at that time. And so I kind of let it go and just, you look at the results, the numbers prove themselves. You look at before, I think I saw one protest or one tour, they got eight articles published, which is pretty substantial. I think that was the best they've ever done was 8. But we doubled that and did 15 and 20. And then we've done one, we had 23. We had one article published that was republished 72 times. And here's the other thing. The contents and the quality of the articles that have been published while we are doing our protests is vastly superior to the previous quality of articles. You get these other articles, oh, the bloodstained men's protesting, da, 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 and at the end they say, but the AAP says the benefits outweigh the risk, and it says it prevents penile cancer and UTIs and HTV and all, just this nonsense. See, that's why our goal has been not just to be a press release. Why would we do that? The bloodstained men don't need another press release. They need someone that's out there educating the reporters, and that's why the script is 3 2-minute scripts. Okay, so those 3 subjects is what we're trying to educate them on. Well, you look at the new articles, out of like 20, you would see one that would say, oh, by the AAP says, duh, 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 duh. And before it was like every single article. We had one published in Hayes Protest. It's like I wrote the damn thing. It's like Brother K wrote the damn thing. It's an Intactivist, 10 pages of Intactivist in Hayes, Kansas, the hotbed of circumcision.
So that's how we know that next level intactivism is effective. All right. And number 2 is Intact Anonymous. So Intact Anonymous, they go out and they go and do super chats and cheers, and they go message streamers. They reach out to lots of people. I think they reached out to like just 500,000 people, if not more, maybe even almost 1 million people. It seems like these are just 3 videos here. So Intact Anonymous, they do crush all of the persuasion techniques. So I'm just going to go ahead and play.
Hargit, you want to grab these while I queue up the next thing or see what's next? But big shout out to the chat.
Yep, Pete Robinson with apparently his first super chat.
Oh, shit.
Congrats. And
shout out to you, bro.
125, I'm assuming Mexican dollars, pesos, whatever it is. Hey, have you heard about Forgen? Is that it? Forgen? They are going to be released soon. What do you guys think about the company? I have no idea.
Let me copy that name and put it in Google, and we'll find out in a second.
Yeah, right, exactly. And while you're doing that, I'll continue.
So what was the guy's name that left that super chat a second ago?
Is that Pete Robinson? Yeah, Pete Robinson.
The
Pete
one
Robinson.
about Forgen.
Forgen, yeah, Pete Robinson.
Yeah, Pete Robinson.
So what Pete basically, he just messaged me behind the scenes. He said, what it is it's a the world's first and only organization. They're using regenerative medicine to regrow foreskins. And the reason that he said he's basically getting into this, and he's got an issue where he's got to have his foreskin regrow.
Huh?
But yeah, look into that, because apparently he's vouching for it. That's what he's trying to say. I like that, though.
Right.
A good sense of humor.
Oh, man, that's a heck of a picture on the front page.
Yeah, even a little picture of Pete's face. He's got a picture of Pete like them dogs in the commercials, Speak for yourself. Pete is suffering. All right, you needed to spread the word about this. So, again, shout out to all the channel members, all the with your fancy badges and stuff.
So reciprocity, absolutely. Streamers, they get paid off donations. And when you pay 500 plus bits, the streamer is pretty much forced to respond to it unless it's a mega streamer. Then you might need to bump up to like 2,000 bits or $20 YouTube super chats, because they want other people to donate to them as well. So they're going to engage with the donor, and that is reciprocity, right? Like, you give them $10. What do you think of Forgen? Because all what they ask is, hey, what do you think about Forgen? Scarcity. They are promoting Forgen, which is the only biotech company, and regrowing foreskin is so scarce, it's not even possible yet, which makes their message likable because it gives hope to those who are circumcised. The authority, no. So Intact Anonymous, they do not have authority. Consistency, they do not have consistency, because they're typically talking to these guys maybe once, maybe twice. Likability, Intact Anonymous is definitely very likable. Who does not like money, and who does not like biotech companies? And it gives the streamers something to talk about. So it's helping them go and talk, because honestly, streamers have to rely on their fans to give them topics to talk about. And Forgen can be a very entertaining topic for the fans as well to engage with. Consensus. So most countries are against circumcision, so chances are people are against circumcision already. So let's say 8 out of 10 viewers are against circumcision or aren't circumcised. So this solidifies their position and may convince the 2/10 of those who do support circumcision to change, because You have all these people being like, oh, circumcision sucks. Why would you ever do that? And you can see that in the comments of whenever they do their videos, if you guys go back and watch it. Unity. So those who are watching the streamer typically look up to their streamer. You know, it's their idols or waifus or whatever you want to call the streamer. And they love when they see their streamer make money because that encourages them to keep going. So they see that Intact Anonymous is giving them money and likes them as well because they're donating to them. So that provides a unity feeling with the streamer and the fans. So it makes Intact Anonymous more likable. Now, bonus is that they do know their audience and their interests. They're not pushy. They're asking a question. They're not being judgy. They're just being like, hey, what do you think of this biotech company? You know, all innocent. And I mean, circumcision gets brought up normally because the opposite of origin is circumcision. Use positive and engaging body language. So even though the body language part isn't really here, they are using a positive message because they're just asking a question of technology. They get to the point really quickly. They're just asking a question. They're maintaining a sincere tone, and they're asking a question that's actually kind of vague, but it makes people look it up, which is kind of cool. And they can measure their effect by people who comment on the comment section on the issue, and they videotape it for evidence as well. All right, and number 1 is the circumcision law reform method. So essentially, the circumcision law reform method affects doctors' advice to patients. He's enforcing the laws of the medical institutions. So if you look behind me here, this is before. They have the AAP statement says this. So this actually expired. So now if you look at it, it's not here. Like the AAP, it's expired and it's gone. So this whole statement thing here is gone. I gotta blur all this out. Here is, this here says, oh, these are the benefits. These are the benefits right here of circumcision, right? Now, after CLR, it's gone. It's all gone. All that misinformation because he went and corrected them on it. One last example. This is before. They conclude that while the procedure has significant health benefits, and then this is after, they concluded that since there are risks and benefits, so it came from has significant health benefits to risks and benefits. So it's a little bit better, right? That's what CLR does. So reciprocity, there's no reciprocity in here. But scarcity, yes. So doctors don't get challenged legally that often, and over half the time they are surprised when they do end up getting sued. So you can see that right here. Got that data point. Says more than half of US doctors have faced malpractice lawsuits, while 58% saying they were surprised when named in a lawsuit. So it's kind of frequent, but not frequent. Also, it says nearly half of physicians 55 and older have been sued, compared to just 8% of doctors younger than 40. So once again, it's kind of scarce when there's legal issues that get brought up, right? I mean, it's not super scarce, but it's a little scarce. Also, authority, well, with a name like circumcision law reform, that provokes authority. He is using the law, which is the ultimate authority over doctors and medical establishment, and the doctors have the authority over the parents who control what happens to their baby. So it's a chain linked effect. So yes, definitely uses authority. Consistency. He does have to follow up and commit to a project, which may involve messaging back and forth, continuing the consistent message of you're out of adherence to the law or medical statute or whatever it is. Likability. Well, CLR, he's writing emails in a respectable, professional manner, and that is something that these big corpos like to see, like, hey, this person talks like us, which is good. They also have a professional name and website, So as you see here, this is their professional website right here. So obviously very likable. And consensus. Yes, absolutely. So the government makes sure everyone is following the law, if they like it or not. So the consensus is, hey, you're going to follow the law that is above everybody. So definitely circumcision law reform checks that box. Unity. People like being unified and being in adherence to the law, because who likes jail? Nobody likes to go to jail. I mean, unless, never mind. Very few people like to go to jail. So for unity, check. Also, bonus for CLR's method is that they know their audience and their interests. They're not pushy. They use positive and engaging body language, which, no, okay, never mind. So he does use positive language in the emails, or professional language in the emails. So kind of, he gets to the point. He maintains a sincere tone. So those are his bonuses. I would assume he asks detailed questions like, hey, do you know you're out of adherence to the law? Probably asks that. He measures the effectiveness of how effective he is by getting Medicare information in Australia, and also sometimes in America. He can gauge to see if circumcision rates are going down or up in that state or county. He can compare circumcision rates in that hospital during the original medical circumcision guidance that they were issuing versus the circumcision rates after CLR made them change to the new circumcision policy he pressed to have them change, using the Medicare data as evidence. So how much do these effective groups actually cost? Well, CLR, he took all the expenses for himself and he paid for everything, but essentially how he goes ahead and circumcision law reform, how they do it, it essentially is $0. So it costs nothing for CLR. Intact Anonymous, they were spending about $150 a month, or $1,800 a year. If they continued, they are no longer operational. NLI, or Next Level Intactivism, is about $750 a year. And you just being useful and convincing people to listen to you, it really depends on the cost and how you're measuring it. Like, if you're paying for some training on how to build rapport and how to be likable, that might cost some money, but honestly, that's pretty cheap. Maybe like a couple online courses. Your Whole Baby, so according to my research right here, their expenses in 2021 was under $10,000, which is really good. Now, granted, the revenue was pretty high, but that's not how much it costs to actually operate them. Also, if you go ahead and check here, it says that their revenue and expenses was $42,000. Now, that's a little misleading because Your Whole Baby was selling t-shirts back in 2019. So if they were selling t-shirts and merchandise and they were buying a bunch of shirts and then selling them at an upcharge, well, then that's probably how they got their $60,000 in revenue. And also their compensation with their executive director was $12,000 according to this. So you really can't go off of how much it costs to run Your Whole Baby off of this, because this is probably just t-shirt sales and other merchandise. Also, if you add in like the baby booths that they're running, it's really cheap. I mean, this here is $2,500, which is kind of expensive, but however, the other ones were $400 and this was $600. So with that only being $600, like, you're really, what is this? You're paying an extra $3,500 for baby booths. And if Your Whole Baby is this effective, just doing baby booths and, gentle education, and it costs, $10,000 to $15,000 a year, that's really not that bad. Especially because some bigger Intactivist companies are getting $100,000 plus, and they're not seeing nearly as much success as these top 5 guys are. So literally, to fund all these people, all these groups, it would cost well under $20,000 to go and fund these 4 groups and 1 idea. Alright guys, those are my top 5 Intactivist methods / Intactivist groups that I think are much better than the group we discussed last week. Alright guys, well, I don't want to make this video too long. Yeah guys, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please let me know down in the comment section. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Bye!